Well, Sony reconfirms the PS5 Pro. Well, we'll talk about that in a moment. And Ubisoft is making everyone upset. Let's get into the game news with some smaller stories. Kicking things off tonight, Indie World announced from Nintendo, which is great because, more indie games is cool. I don't know what to expect from this, but this is 4/17. This is tomorrow morning as of the live recording. This will happen after the game news goes live. So whatever we react to there will be live streamed on the YouTube channel and Twitch and everywhere else that we normally stream. But hey, you guys should check it out. I don't know what I'm looking forward to. A lot of the comments down here are talking about Silk Song because everyone wants Silk Song to come out and it has been far too long. I just feel like it's a meme. It's this generation's Duke Nukem Forever, it feels like. Anyway, if you get that reference, good on you. But yeah, looking forward to the indie showcase because there's good stuff shown. A lot of farming sims probably, as usual. All right, let's move on to our next story. I thought this was hilarious, but Keanu Reeves is seemingly confirmed to be Shadow the Hedgehog in Sonic Movie 3. And I am just excited for whatever this means. Whatever this might mean at all. I don't know what the voice is going to be. I don't know what to expect. I'm just excited to hear Keanu Reeves be like, Faker, you're the fake hedgehog around here. And there you go. Sega's declared this the Fearless Year of Shadow. And Sonic Movie 3 will cap that off at the end of the year. But hey, that's kind of cool, right? All right, let's get on to a slightly bigger story. So we talked last week about Apple getting approving emulators on the App Store and how technically it's allowed by the rules. So a GBA emulator popped up and then was not immediately, but it was pulled down very quickly. And a lot of people suspect it is because it was an emulator, but it turns out it's more complicated than that. This article from, who wrote this? Wes Davis on The Verge said, I played Game Boy Advance games on my iPhone this weekend thanks to a new emulator called iGBA, which appears to be the first GBA emulator on the App Store since Apple started allowing emulators worldwide. The only trouble is, it doesn't look like iGBA is developer Mattia Lespina's own work, something seemingly confirmed by Apple after it pulled the app for violating its copyright and spam rules. So basically, the OG developer of GBA for iOS that was created was ported and uploaded from this person, Lespina, and now it's surged to like tops of the app charts, the iTunes or App Store most downloaded charts, and then it was like, wait a second. That's not kosher because it wasn't original work. It was copied and improperly referenced or licensed or whatever. So Riley Testet, I don't know. I'm sorry for the mispronunciation. Apple approved a knockoff, like this guy created it. He said approved a knockoff GBA for iOS, the predecessor to Delta I made in high school in the App Store. I did not give anyone permission to do this, yet it's not sitting at the top of the charts, despite it being filled with ads and tracking. I bit my tongue a bunch in the past month, but this really frustrates me. So glad App Review exists to protect consumers from scams and ripoffs like this, which is great that he spoke up. He said, I'm not mad at the developer. I'm mad that Apple took the time to change the App Store rules to allow emulators, then approved a knockoff of my own app, even though I've been ready to launch with Delta since March 5th. So it's interesting. His own app is still awaiting approval or something to that effect, but iGBA comes out, surges to the top of the charts, does really well, but then gets pulled because it's not original work. It's, a ripoff. So not surprising, but does this like serve to maybe make Apple go, see, this is why we didn't want emulators? Apparently the app also had some like sketch permissions on top of like the extra tracking, but just was like, hey, why do you need access to that? You're just an app. Anyway, yeah, I'm excited to see more emulation come to iOS. I'd like to see Dolphin Personally, Dolphin, an Xbox emulator would be kind of cool. PlayStation would be interesting, easy to do. GBA makes the most sense just because Game Boy, phone, portable. Yeah, I get it. But Dolphin has me more interested, just personally. Anyway, let's move to the next story. EA's Iron Man and Black Panther games will be open world, reveals job listings. This comes from Game VRO. I think we've referenced them before. But according to the recent job postings by EA, Motive's upcoming Iron Man game will reportedly be an open world title along with EA's Black Panther. Now, this is curious because the job listing down here, where they quote, says Motive Studios looking for senior technical artists to help oversee the rendering related aspects of an open world action adventure AAA title. Position requires high level artistic sensibilities and strong technical skills, the ability to work with the art and rendering teams to drive the development of new engine features and to guide the content creation to maximize what is available. But how do you determine what that's for? I don't know how they connected the dots here. That's what's being reported. Iron Man isn't the only open world project that's in development at EA, as different job posting reveals that EA's Black Panther game will also be set in an open world. Principal sandbox designer is needed based on the job posting, where the candidate will have the responsibility of designing and populating encounter systems and gameplay within a dynamic and evolving open world, which is great. I'm excited to see what Motive does with Iron Man. I have wanted a fun Iron Man game since the Iron Man 1 movie. The games that came out that were published, I believe Sega had the license to them. Iron Man 1 and 2 had tie-in games released, and they were not good. Weird. Iron Man 1, I think, was a better game than Iron Man 2, but those games were hard to play just because they were bad. But if anything, they could just take what they started with Anthem and hyper focus it on Iron Man, because Anthem was Iron Man MMO and was super cool, and I'd just like to see more gameplay like that. I thought it was neat. Anyway, moving on. But yeah, I don't know. Before we go on too much further, Black Panther is going to be really cool, and I'm excited to see how these games come out alongside each other, if they come out at the same time. I have a feeling if they're smart, they'll delay them at least by a year from each other so that they're not competing with themselves. But the Black Panther game will also be interesting. I just don't know anything about it, honestly. We don't know much about Iron Man except that Motive is making it either. But we've seen games like Spider-Man do really well. Insomniac did a great job. They kind of set the foundation for what an open world superhero game is. And hopefully we get maybe something a little more action-y. I don't know. You can do a bunch of side quests and those are fine. But I can't imagine a fun time being had where Iron Man is going around beating up people, stealing purses on the streets. I'm hoping it's much bigger than that at the end of the day. Anyway, moving on. Okay, let's get into these Ubisoft stories, because Ubisoft is busy making people upset. But this is some good news, maybe? XDefiant playtest confirmed for April 19th to the 21st. All right, we've covered XDefiant here and there. I've been very interested in it because it's basically the Tom Clancy cross-universe game, or cross-brand, because all the Tom Clancy verse stuff is the same thing, but different stories. You got The Division, you got Ghost Recon, you've got Splinter Cell. I believe Far Cry is featured in this as well to some degree. We played the beta. I think we did it on stream last year a couple times. It is a fun idea. I'm hoping to see maybe better visuals, better performance in this newest test. This game was supposed to have released already, if I'm not mistaken. And like I said, we've covered it here and there. I'm surprised it's taken this long to come out. There was a lot of drama last year. A lot of people thought earlier this year the game might be just DOA and not ever be actually released. But then they go and announce a playtest, and I'm looking forward to it. I may download it. I don't know if I'll have much time to put into it, but I am definitely wanting to check it out. All right, let's move on to the next thing. This is going to get rough, guys. Ubisoft is stripping people's licenses for the crew weeks after it shut down, nearly squandering hopes of fan servers and acting as a stark reminder of how volatile digital ownership actually is. This is courtesy of PC Gamer. Um, this one is very stupid. Basically, the crew, a racing game, was shut down or disabled at the beginning of the month. The servers went offline. Beginning of April, the servers were going down. But apparently, the game is disappearing from people's digital inventories on Steam, and it's weird that you can like download it, but like the keys are being revoked. Ubisoft Connect, the game, you no longer have access. Like this is a screenshot. You no longer have access to the game. Why not check the store to peruse your adventures? Sorry. It's crazy that somebody bought a game. The game can be played offline. It has a single player component, but it required a connection. They should have at least disabled the online always requirement and just allowed the users to keep playing the story mode, and maybe allow custom servers, which is what people were looking forward to doing, setting up races and all the other stuff that they could do without Ubisoft's need to keep anything alive on their end. But then they just go and pull the game from people's accounts, which is insane. Like how do you justify pulling? I don't know. They're just pulling licenses, and that's really the problem with digital ownership. Is you are paying $70 at this point for a rental, and the terms of the rental are entirely up to the publisher. They can decide, hey, you know what? You don't have access to it anymore because we don't want to support that game, or you know. We couldn't keep the licenses to some music we had, or we had a falling out with some other thing, and legally the game can't exist anymore, so we have to revoke it. If I have a disc with the game on it, that doesn't stop me from being able to enjoy it. But very few games now that are on physical media even have the full game on it. So this all digital future, there's a lot of red flags, and these publishers are really kind of, Ubisoft especially, is showing their hand with just how scummy they can be. Whether or not it's a technical issue remains to be seen. It's just insane. You know, I just don't like the idea that I paid for a game and it has a single player component, but because you don't want to support it anymore, I no longer can even launch the game. Now I can't even access the game I paid for. Yes, it's a 10-year-old game, but we just talked about last week how some of the most popular games right now are 6+ years old. And so this is just ridiculous. You know, this is not a good look. Ubisoft is making people upset, and rightfully so. I mean, people are rightfully upset. Ubisoft isn't right for making people upset. Let me clarify that. But people are rightfully upset because it's like, if you can't access the digital games, why support the digital marketplace? Why even spend the money? You can buy different games. Like, I don't have to play Ubisoft titles. I may like them, I may want to, but I don't have to. And so that's kind of where I'm at with this, which we talked about Star Wars Outlaws last week. Let's just move on to that part now. So this article comes from Raider King. I don't know how legit they are, but this was published just recently. Star Wars Outlaws Day 1 DLC will cost you $110. The game has a $70 base version, and then they have a season pass. The season pass includes 2 DLCs that will release after launch, and then an exclusive mission, and then some cosmetics. And the mission is a day 1 get. You can access it right away, I guess, as long as you progress far enough in the story. And then you have some cosmetics that are available day 1. And this is kind of par for the course. We're used to having some kind of season pass, day 1 pass situation. And I'm not a fan of that for single player games. This game's not multiplayer. There's not like a shared experience as far as I can tell. But to limit like a mission like this to a battle pass or a season pass, and then the season, I don't ever trust, like, season passes are like, yeah, there's 2 DLCs coming out, so either A, the content was done and you just pushed it out further because reasons, or B, the content doesn't exist and you're just hoping enough people buy it and it's like a Kickstarter. I'm like pre-ordering DLC. I hate that. I hate that in either scenario because it's just it's not good for the consumer. Because it's like, oh, I have to pay more if I want this, but you already finished it. The devs are already done. You could have just put it in the game, you know? Anyway, I'm not going to go off on that tangent too much. Let's get to the cost. Okay, so the gold edition of the game, which comes with the season pass, as well as 3-day early access to the game, will net players $109, over $40 more than what the game normally costs. The Ultimate Edition, which comes with some extra cosmetics and a digital art book, will cost you $130, nearly twice the price of what the game normally costs. This is ridiculous. The Ultimate Edition, and it's entirely digital, $130. And keep in mind, if you're buying it digital, it's a rental. You only have the license to access the game as long as they say you can have access to the game. That is not what is going to keep gaming going. This right here is not necessary at all. Maybe people want a digital art book. How many people look at the digital art book? Let me know in the comments if you're watching us on YouTube after the fact. How many people are, when you buy a collector's edition that comes with a digital art book, how many times have you looked at that digital art book? That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. All right, well, we'll move on because Ubisoft had to clarify that Jabba the Hutt is in all editions of Outlaws and the optional mission is held behind the season pass. So I read that to you. It's like, hey, there's a mission locked behind the season pass, but you'll have it day one if you buy the season pass. For some reason, the internet went and understood that the entire interaction in the game with Jabba the Hutt is locked behind the season pass, which is not how that was worded. But they did release a clarification, but it's still not a good look. I think a lot of people are just mad at Star Wars Outlaws for a lot of reasons. I'm not going to get into much of that beyond the battle pass or season. I keep calling it a battle pass because it's all the same, but the season pass is it's a little expensive for, we don't know how big those DLCs are. We don't know how big, you know, this one extra mission is. It's completely optional. It doesn't impact the story. It's just an extra mission that you can do, you know. And so, yeah, I don't know what's going on with this game and why it's launching like this, but I think the general trend towards Ubisoft in a lot of ways is not nice words. Let's just put it that way. All right, well, let's move on to our last story. Sony takes down PS5 Pro YouTube leak, suggesting it's all legit, courtesy of Push Square. As if there was much doubting it at this point, copyright claim of a YouTube video, which has resulted in its removal, points towards all of the PS5 Pro leaks being accurate. The video in question was posted by the channel Moore's Law is Dead, and it had a hand in kickstarting the leaks that have since surrounded Sony's upgraded console. The copyright claim, of course, was filed by Sony Interactive Entertainment, and so it's easy to conclude that the information was bang on, at least to some extent. So, video's been up, talks about PS5 Pro stuff. We've all been running wild with this information. The fact that they would copy strike this video just kind of leads us to believe it's either spot on and we've got all the information and hey, it's a shame that it was leaked because Sony should be able to control the messaging of their own platform. But we were all hearing rumors of a PS5 Pro anyway, so let's just wait on it. Let's wait for the official announcement. Will that be this summer? Maybe. I don't know. But it's weird that they would pull that down. I'm kind of hoping that they push an announcement soon. I don't know how much longer we're going to want to wait for an actual announcement, right? I don't know how much longer anyone is going to wait. I mean, you got to wait, but like we're already on the ready. We're at the ready for the PS5 Pro. But why wait and just leave people making rumor videos and all this other stuff? I have no idea. But anyway, that does it for this week's game news. Guys, let me know what you think. If you're watching this live on Twitch, thanks for being here. We're going to play some Pokemon Violet in a moment. We'll kick up the YouTube and Rumble streams as well. If you're watching this after the fact that it's uploaded onto YouTube, thanks for watching and making it this far. Let me know what you think about any of these articles and things we covered in the comments. And thanks for checking out the video. I hope you have a great time. And with the next one, whatever you end up doing, I'm going to play video games now. Bye.